Two female tourists escape a kidnapper in the Northern Territory. Casino security under review after a gunman causes a scare. And barley bound, Wayne Carey and his wife take time for themselves.
This is Adelaide's National 9 News with Kevin Crease.
Good evening. Also tonight, the Crows fine-tune their skills for next week's qualifying final by wiping the deck with the Dockers. But first, a new manhunt is underway in the Northern Territory after two female tourists were abducted at gunpoint in remote bushland. In circumstances reminiscent of last year's kidnapping of Joanne Lees and Peter Falconio, the mother and her daughter were tied up but managed to break free.
The 50-year-old woman and her 16-year-old daughter were returning to their car after viewing Tolma Falls, about 100 kilometres south of Darwin, when they were approached by a man in his early 30s.
At about sunset, the man's alleged to have pointed a black handgun at the women, forcing them into the bushes.
He bound them to a tree using cable ties and demanded money.
Sometime around about midnight, the two women managed to free themselves and escape.
The tourist's car had been tampered with. They were eventually picked up by a passerby and driven to Batchelor, where they alerted police early this morning. They told police they'd seen the man's car following them earlier that day.
They're quite traumatised, as would be expected, but they're not suffering any serious physical injuries.
The hunt for the gunman is still underway. Cars are being searched at roadblocks, Litchfield National Park has been evacuated, and detectives are investigating possible links to the Falconio murder and attempted abduction of Joanne Lees last July.
I stress to point out at this particular point in time that there is nothing to indicate that those two incidents are linked.
In Adelaide, police are waiting to see if DNA taken from a rape suspect matches that of strands of hair taken from Joanne Lee's jumper. Witnesses say the man's appearance and his car are similar to descriptions Miss Lees gave police. Layla McKinnon, National 9 News.
The Star City Casino will review its security procedures after a male patron was spotted with a sawn-off rifle protruding from his trousers early this morning. Police cordoned off the area at around 3 o'clock, but still allowed people to enter and leave the building. An hour later, Star Group officers arrested the man while he was playing a pokie machine. Police say no one was threatened during the incident. The 39-year-old will face the Adelaide Magistrates Court tomorrow, charged with numerous firearm offences. A bushwalker got himself into a spot of bother this afternoon at Morialta Conservation Park. He got himself stuck 150 metres up a cliff face. It took emergency crews almost an hour and a half to reach the man and then winch him to safety below.
Do you feel life up there?
A little bit.
Good to be back down?
The man said he was more than a tad embarrassed at the situation he'd got himself into. He decided to climb up the undesignated track with his wife, and while she had no problem reaching the top and getting down again, he panicked. The only injury the man suffered was to his pride. Three men are lucky to be alive after their speeding car rolled several times in a narrow residential street at Prospect this morning. The car had been defected by police just a few minutes earlier. After the smash, the driver and his two passengers ran off, with police and local residents in hot pursuit.
Just 5 minutes before this spectacular crash on Braund Road, the owner's car had been defected by police on nearby Prospect Road. Residents say the Hyundai came speeding down their street, travelling at more than 100 kilometres an hour in a 40 zone. The car and its three occupants hit a dip at an intersection and became airborne.
The car became out of control.
It then smashed into a Stobie pole and rolled several times, coming to stop just a few metres from a passerby. Police say it was incredible the three men actually survived the crash, but they're still puzzled why the men decided to flee from the scene of the accident.
At this stage we don't know, and inquiries are continuing in relation to that. Based on quite a considerable time spent at major crash investigation, yes, they are extremely lucky that they are still with us.
Residents who are angered their street is often used as a speedway even gave police a helping hand.
What we have found is that a couple of nearby residents chased after these particular lads when they disappeared from the car.
Police caught the two passengers several streets away within minutes of the crash. The driver was captured soon afterwards. The men have been questioned over the incident. No charges have been laid. Peter Ball, National 9 News.
Family members of Akram al-Masri, the Palestinian asylum seeker at the centre of a wrangle between the federal government and the federal court, claim his brother has been interrogated by Palestinian authorities in Gaza. Mr al-Masri said in Adelaide today he'd rather return to Gaza than stay in detention here, despite the risks.
Go to jail, maybe kill, shoot me, people who shoot me.
Meanwhile, the federal government still intends to appeal the court decision that released Mr al-Masri yesterday. The Immigration Department insists that it has a legal obligation to detain him.
Well, that's just ridiculous. The federal court's made a decision and it's made two decisions to say that the government aren't entitled to hold Akram.
The case returns to the federal court tomorrow. A leading Adelaide welfare agency has delivered a sober warning on what should be a happy day. Anglican says there aren't really enough Father's Days, or Mother's Days for that matter, as the demands of the workplace continue to eat into family time.
The Royal Show may have been the perfect setting for families to get together and celebrate Father's Day. But according to a leading welfare agency, fathers just don't spend enough quality time with their families these days.
We actually fought long and hard to get a 40-hour week. And now we're at the situation where at least a quarter of the workforce is working more than 45 hours a week.
And just over 17% of workers are at the coalface for more than 50 hours a week. Anglicare says employers might be benefiting from the increasingly longer hours it demands of both mothers and fathers, but overall society is the poorer for it.
The effects of long working hours is it's starting to make some fathers into strangers for their children.
One of the state's busiest fathers would have to be the Premier. His working week is about 100 hours long, so Father's Day with 12-year-old daughter Molly is well earned. Mr. Rand saying he takes his children to as many work-related functions as he can.
My daughter loves going to the ballet, loves going to the netball. My son loves going to the footy, and we try to involve the kids in many of the things that I do.
It's a matter of balance, because yes, we need to work well and work hard, but that shouldn't be done at the expense of family life.
Robert McLean, National 9 News.
And there are more encouraging signs that Wayne and Sally Carey have their lives back on track. They've left on an overseas holiday just days after he joined the Crows and hours after his surprise appearance at a Melbourne function last night.
Life finally seems to be returning to normal for Wayne and Sally Carey. Not sighted together in public since the storm that nearly wrecked their marriage broke over them in February, the now apparently happy couple left early today for an overseas holiday.
We're still very much together. The decision's made, and hopefully just all the past 6 or so months can just be put to rest.
Their departure came just hours after Carey had made a surprise and self-mocking appearance at former Kangaroo teammate Tim McGrath's retirement function last night.
Before I go on, I'll tell you now that I've actually rang management. I've spoken to my wife, and I'm allowed to be here for about half an hour.
Sally Carey has taken extended leave of absence from her job in Melbourne, and while she has not yet requested a transfer to the Pricewaterhouse office in Adelaide, it's expected she'll do that once they've settled into a new home.
They're very much together, so I'd imagine that'd be the case.
Assuming the Crows can come to an agreeable trade with the Kangaroos, Carey should start training with Adelaide in late October or early November. Charles Slade, National 9 News.
We'll take a break. In news still to come, the FBI says a man arrested in Sweden for attempted hijacking had taken flying lessons and was probably targeting a US embassy. And 5 years after her death, a princess is remembered.
What company is this?
An epic saga of conflict, courage, and sacrifice.
I lost a man today. I don't even know enough to buy a beer.
The brilliant series premiere, Band of Brothers, 8:30 Monday on 9.
Poor Simpson didn't expect this.
Okay.
But what happened next was totally unexpected.
Don't worry, we'll sort it out.
Only Amy gives you your own personal client manager who'll look after your claim and all your repairs from start to finish.
Lucky you're with Amy. Oh, when you're smiling. Yeah, when you're smiling. The whole world, it smiles with you.
Smiles. Crispy outside, mashed potato inside. Ah, McCain, you've done it again.
Keep going. Keep going. Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
on, keep going. This is good. Left, definitely. This is it. Keep going. And we should be right here. Do you want me to drive, honey?
It's home furnishings event time at David Jones, which means you'll receive 15% in bonus gift vouchers on any full-price Natuzzi sofa. And you can enjoy 2 years interest-free with no deposit. So what are you waiting for?
David Jones.
I'm going to show you how to eat an Oreo. First you twist it, then you lick it, then you dunk it. Mom said chocolate isn't good for dogs, but you can have the rest of my milk.
Only Oreo.
Paul Simpson didn't expect this, but what was totally unexpected, Amy recognises good drivers. So if you've been on rating 1 for the last 3 years, you keep it for life.
It's been confirmed that the man charged with planning to hijack a plane in Sweden yesterday took flying lessons in the United States. The FBI believes Muslim Kerem Chatti was going to crash the jet into an American embassy somewhere in Europe.
Kerem Chatti is a 29-year-old convert to Islam. His lawyer says he wasn't planning a hijack, and the gun discovered in his carry-on luggage when he tried to board the plane from Sweden to Britain will eventually be explained. But authorities became even more alarmed when they discovered that, like the September 11 hijackers, Chatti had studied at a flying school in America. They're also investigating claims he may be the first of a new group of terrorists planning to crash planes into targets like the US Embassy in London.
US embassies in Western Europe are obviously very high-profile targets, so therefore it would be normal, one could almost say normal, for terrorists to attempt to attack these embassies.
Now, Swedish police are working with America's FBI to try to find out more about Chatti, who is a Swedish national. In the meantime, they've charged him with attempting to hijack an aircraft. Also today, former President Bill Clinton, after entertaining crowds at a local show in New York, warned that America needed to be careful with its threats to get rid of Saddam Hussein. It was something, he said, that shouldn't be attempted without the support of several other countries.
I think that it's always better if we don't go alone. There's no question that he has for several years been in violation of the United Nations resolutions on inspections.
Robert Penfold, National 9 News, Los Angeles.
Israeli helicopter gunships have killed 5 Palestinians, including 2 children, in the West Bank town of Jenin. One missile hit a car carrying a wanted Islamic militant and 2 teenage boys. A second missile missed, slamming into a house, killing a 9-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl. Soon after, Palestinian gunmen entered a Jewish settlement near Nablus, wounding a pregnant woman and her husband. The gunmen were shot dead. There have been low-key tributes in England and France to mark the 5th anniversary of the death of Princess Diana. However, there was still plenty of emotion for the woman many believe brought warmth and glamour to the royal family.
Nothing like the scenes of 5 years ago, but thousands still flocked to the former home of Princess Diana for their tributes.
We need to pay our respects to her. I mean, she was taken from our land, but certainly not from our hearts.
Althorpe, her ancestral home, was closed for the day.
All the anniversaries are difficult. The anniversaries of Diana's birth, her death, the funeral, they're all very, very difficult times for my family.
Diana's sons, William and Harry, marked the occasion privately with Prince Charles. In Paris, just a few floral tributes at the scene of the notorious crash. Controversy lingers 5 years on. There's anger, there's no permanent public memorial, and her mother hasn't forgiven the royal family, which ordered her to keep quiet about Diana's death until foreign dignitaries were told.
That seemed to me very odd, if not insensitive, that I, her mother, couldn't tell anyone she was dead.
Many also believe, despite the promises, the tragedy has done little to curb the paparazzi's invasive habits. Matt Dunstan, National 9 News.
Well, any ageing rock and roll fans who happen to be passing through the airport this afternoon may have thought they'd stepped through a time warp. But greyer hair, wider girths and added wrinkles probably gave the game away. Some of Australia's greatest rock stars are in town for a two-night flashback at the Entertainment Centre starting tomorrow. They include Russell Morris, Ross Wilson, Brian Cadd, Ray Columbus, Judy Stone and Dinah Lee, to name just a few. They're calling their tour A Long Way to the Top. It could just as easily be a long time at the top. Kim's here with sport from Subiaco, where the Crows have just completed their minor round.
Yes, Kev, they were fairly convincing 40-point winners. Hello, everyone. We'll have more on that after the break. Also, the Power celebrates its first minor premiership, and Leighton advances in Flushing Meadows, but only just.
You were outraged at the crimes. You cheered the punishment. Now, Peter Overton confronts...
Because he's not guilty?
...the ringleader's family.
I can't believe that.
60 Minutes, tonight.
Cats of Australia have made their choice. Snappy Tom.
Spiro has his choice of the best fish. For cats, that's Snappy Tom. This is top quality fish. A great catch, packed fresh. That's fresh, natural fish. So Spiro loves the taste. And I know that Snappy Tom has more protein and less fat than most other brands. Good choice, Spiro.
They're all of one voice. Snappy Tom.
You know, I work like a dog all year, so I really look forward to the Royal Adelaide show. This year's gonna be great. So here's a sniff of what's in store. Cue the music. See the new look showground, new slingshot ride, entertainment in the new boulevard, food, fun, fashion, fireworks, farm animals, and so much more. It's showtime. August 30 to September 7th. Miss it, and you'll have to wait a whole year. Me, I go for the fairy floss.
You'll buy better at Buy Low, Australia's own discount supermarket.
700 or 850 gram Noble Rise bread.
$1.97.
Picnic bacon.
$5.99 a kilo.
Buy Low, extra value for you.
And me.
Stevens in the right spot, hooks it around, can he get enough perched on it? The distance is very good. Mark Stevens has kicked the goal.
How does it feel to be forgotten? Not so long ago, you were a premium product, and now you're in the bargain bucket, following so many other has-beens. Where did it all go wrong? It's not you. You're fun and easy to use, but somewhere along the way, you fell off the shopping list. Just a minute. It all started to go pear-shaped when the TV campaign was pulled. Television. Use the power.
Hello again and welcome back to a fairly chilly Subiaco, where the Adelaide Crows have tuned up for their finals campaign in style with a 40-point victory over Fremantle today. The Crows set the win up with an 8-goal-to-1 first term. Brett Burton booted 4 goals as Adelaide more than made up for last year's embarrassing final round loss to the Dockers.
Perth's wild weather was playing havoc with feathered Crows. Early on, the footballing variety enjoyed the wind at their backs. But there was nothing wind-assisted about Kane Johnson's effort.
Pulls it back as Kane Johnson. Fantastic goal.
The Adelaide engine room was humming and finding its targets. The Crows, with Johnson finishing the term as he started it, 45 points clear at quarter time.
Twists, turns, kicks, bounces, through!
Adelaide had blown Freo away. The procession continued.
So much time and space.
Brett Burton's second, 7 minutes into the second quarter, made the margin 10 goals. The Dockers were showing little in the way of resistance, and Burton was marking everything.
Burton there. He was out of the contest, Burton.
Trent Crowe took his frustrations out on Michael Doughty's head, but it made little difference. Adelaide home and hosed at the half.
Long mural coming up for Fremantle and takes
Or were they? The home side raised hopes of the most unlikely comeback with the first two of the second half. Mark Rasciuto's long bomb with the wind was impressive. Matthew Pavlich's into it even more so.
Much better to go the journey from there, and he thumps it home.
The Dockers had a spring in the step, while the Crows couldn't take a trick. 6 goals to 3, but Freo was still 7 in arrears, turning for home. Their season over, the Dockers seemed determined to take a crow or two with them. But Adelaide was going nowhere, determined to finish the job. Burton's fourth, ensuring it was done in style.
Burton at the spill, slides it through, and the Crows keep charging on.
Ross Stargett, National 9 News.
Two other games in the West Coast have snatched the final spot in the 8 with an upset win over the West Coast Eagles at the Manuka Oval. The Eagles forced their way in at the expense of Geelong with a 17-point victory. Fellow major round player Essendon blew away the Blues.
As Mickey Martin tried to unsettle Troy Wilson in Canberra, Geelong players gathered to watch the game that would decide their season. It was do or die for the Eagles as well. The pressure intense, Peter Matera gave brother Phil a blast and had something a bit tougher for Sinclair. The Roos 2 goals up at the half.
55-metre kick.
The Eagles dominated the third with 5 consecutive goals. Everything was going their way.
Brings it around enough.
Wilson rose to the occasion.
Mark of the day.
Philip Matera stealing a final spot with his 6th.
That's awesome.
At the G, any hope of a Carlton upset was quickly ended by a resurgent Matthew Lloyd.
Lloyd is a superstar. He kicks his second.
The Bomber spearhead had 5 to the half.
Very good kick towards the goal. Don't tell me he's doing acrobatics now.
The result well in their keeping. The Dons rested Hurd after a heavy knock. Their supporters farewelling the Blues, a season they'd rather forget. Further confirmation earlier today that Wayne Britton's job is under threat.
There's 2 clubs that have spoken to Ricky Nixon, which has been informal.
At liberty to tell us who they are?
Well, the Bulldogs is one.
The Kangaroos would be the other?
No, Carlton, which was a couple of weeks ago.
Vicky Schwartz, National 9 News.
Well, minor premiers Port Adelaide will begin their finals campaign at almost full strength after emerging injury-free after yesterday's thriller against Brisbane. The club's only concern is the tribunal appearance of former captain Gavin Wanganeen. And while the players are already back at work, the fans are soaking up that winning feeling.
As the club song goes, this was history in the making.
Fantastic weather-wise, crowd-wise was great, and the result was amazing for us. It's a really good day.
Thousands packing Alberton to share in the club's first minor premiership.
To get that many crowd, you know, we thought we might get up around 35, but they surprised us, and we hope they all come again next week, that's for sure.
An air of anticipation also from the players.
I'm really excited about it because over 200 odd games I've played one final, so yeah, I'm really excited and looking forward to the challenges of playing and winning finals.
The 31-year-old crushed at missing last year's campaign. Just 5 games back from a knee reconstruction, Paxman is jumping out of his skin. Several teammates don't look so fit, but the club says all will be okay for the club's qualifying final against Collingwood. The only doubt surrounds a tribunal date for Gavin Wanganeen. Adam Kingsley should return from a hamstring, while Darryl Wakelin will begin running this week as he pushes to be part of the finals and the campaign to make amends for last year.
In the context of the year, we really haven't won anything yet, so you know, we need to take it over the next 3 to 4 weeks to achieve what we set out to achieve.
Vicky Schwartz, National 9 News.
Well, locally, 3 games were played to complete round 22 in the SANFL. Winners were West over Port, the Eagles over North, and a big victory for the Double Blues over South at Noarlunga. So with 1 round remaining, the Bulldogs are 1 game clear at the top of the ladder. They play second-ranked Sturt next weekend. Norwood, the Eagles and West make up the final 5. To tennis now, and defending champion Leighton Hewitt is through to the 4th round of the US Open, where he'll meet Czech Yuri Novak. While Martina Hingis and Andre Agassi advanced in straight sets, the top seed struggled through a thrilling 5-setter. His girlfriend Kim Kleisters is also through.
The dedicated fans found their voice. Others got into the groove, while Tommy Haas took mental notes in this rematch of last year's second-round clash between American James Blake and Leighton Hewitt.
That is some passing shot.
After winning the Washington lead-up event, 22-year-old Blake was armed for an upset, and he shook the top seed by winning the opening set. The game's leading player answered the challenge, squaring it up in the second set.
That's the break. Finally.
Hewitt then swung the match his way after converting an early break in the third.
But boy, it's been a struggle.
The whim of the nest gave Hewitt a 2-1 lead in the fourth.
What a way to get a break.
But from there, Blake blazed away to unsettle Hewitt.
Yeah.
He threw more caution to the wind, and with risk came reward, winning 5 of the next 6 games.
Oh, he's on fire.
Into the decider, Hewitt took advantage of Blake's bunch of unforced errors in one game to break and convert it to a 6-3 victory.
That's it.
In my head, I just got it in that I was playing for Australia out there. Apart from that, I just tried blocking everything else out.
Charles Christian, National 9 News.
To soccer now, and Birmingham City has recorded its first win in the English Premier League, downing Leeds United. Overnight, there were also wins for Manchester City, Middlesbrough, Tottenham, West Brom and Charlton. Well, there you go. That wraps it up from Subiaco Oval. The completion of the minor round, round 22. Adelaide getting over Fremantle by 40 points, a fairly convincing margin, so they're all fired up to take on Brisbane next weekend, and let's hope they do okay. Back to you, Kevin.
Good on you, Kim. Xavier's up next with his weather report for the start of the working week, but right now, here's where you'll find tomorrow's speed cameras.
On a current affair, Debt Busters.
I couldn't make the repayments and also survive.
How to break the credit cycle.
I would recommend this to anyone.
And put you back on top.
Brilliant. We can get on with our lives.
Nissan presents A Current Affair.
Remember how it felt when you were 6? Feel it all over again. Introducing the Mazda 6 sedan, hatch and wagon. Sporting a new engine with SVT and new Active-Matic transmission. Because what fun is getting a present if you can't open it up?
You'll buy better at Buy Low, Australia's own discount supermarket.
2-litre Coca-Cola and varieties.
$1.67.
9-pack Kleenex toilet tissue.
$4.87.
Buy Low.
Extra value for you.
Cats. Pollen. Zyrtec for hay fever and allergies. Starts working in just 20 minutes. Lasts 24 hours. Zyrtec. Starts working in 20 minutes. Lasts 24 hours.
Until Wednesday, Target is giving a flat 20% off the marked price of Manchester. 20% off sheets, curtains, quilts, pillows and towels. But hurry, because Target can only decrease their prices for so long.
Not so long ago, I'd have been considered an incurable romantic.
This woman is trying to prevent a fragile environment being destroyed by the search for oil and gas. She wants to preserve an area of outstanding natural beauty for future generations and protect the local culture from the shock of the new.
We believe it's possible to provide the energy the planet needs without ignoring the needs of the planet.
Despite this, she's not at war with the oil company. She is the oil company.
Coming up, are the Blitz team tough enough to rise to a biker's challenge?
What a fantastic way to celebrate Father's Day.
Backyard Blitz, next on 9. This weather report brought to you by Shell.
Good evening, folks. Great conditions here today. Not so in the eastern states, especially Sydney. They were sunbathing on Bondi, dodging hail the next. in a last blast of winter. Unconventional hail storm came through, causing widespread damage. And, of course, the damage to lots of roofs, houses, cars, vegetation. Mind you, some took it all in their stride and they thought it was winter all over again, taking the chance to play outdoors. However, we don't think that this activity will be prolonged, and they'll probably clear it up as soon as they can get to it. Meanwhile, back at home, 7 degrees this morning, up to 21.4 this afternoon, currently 16.6, and the barometric pressure's on the fall. Now, having a look at our state, please be aware, while it was fine today, we do have a very severe system coming through. It's going to reach the west in the morning, move through the state into the east by the afternoon or evening, bringing with it some really widespread rain activity, followed up a secondary frontal system bringing through further showers that will persist probably through to Tuesday morning and clearing after that. However, with that, we are expecting some very strong to gusty storm activity. Having a look at the analysis, while we've got the high-pressure cell keeping us lovely, there's that long spread of frontal activity. The northerlies will still persist in behind it, west to northwesterly, as I say, becoming strong to gale force at times on the coast, and with that dry condition turning into the wet, we are expecting some interference to the electromagnetic properties of the air. Further afield, Perth is the one with showers, the rest are fine. Maximum ranging from 17 in Perth up to 34 in Alice, and here in our state today, maximum range from 15 degrees at Edithburgh up to 32 degrees at Annabella. So for the forecast then, fine and mild first, raised dust in the north and west, then the strongest squally westerly change coming through, rain and thunderstorms to follow. The warnings are for gales in the coastal waters south of Elliston, Arno Bay and Adelaide, strong winds for all remaining areas. Temperature-wise, 24 the top for Clare, 20 degrees the top for Mount Gambier. Elsewhere in the state, you're looking at 22 for Newry and 22 for Victor Harbour. On the waters, here's the rub, northerly winds at 30 knots. They'll shift northwesterly, 17 to 22, then strengthening again to 30 knots by the evening, seas to 2 metres. And for the metro area, so fine in the morning, then that rain in the afternoon, 24 for both Adelaide and Elizabeth, maximum of 22 Mount Barker and Noarlunga at 23 over the next few days. Now, the shower activity persisting right through. There may be a slight break on Wednesday, but the persistence of that rain and shower activity coming back on Thursday, temperature staying around. The long-term forecast at this stage, showers. Here's Kev.
Thanks, Xavier. And now here's a reminder of today's top stories. 2 female tourists abducted at gunpoint in remote bushland south of Darwin. The women were tied up to a tree but managed to escape in circumstances reminiscent of last year's kidnapping of Joanne Lees and Peter Falconio. There's to be a review of security procedures at the Star City Casino after a male patron was spotted with a sawn-off rifle protruding from his trousers. And it looks like Wayne and Sally Carey's lives are back on track. Today the couple left Melbourne for an overseas holiday. And that's it from us. Hope all you dads had a fabulous Father's Day. We're assured not every father in Adelaide took their kids to the Royal Show, but at times it sure looked like it. Good night.